What is up, guys? If anyone is in the chat, let me know. What is up, guys? If anyone is in the chat, let me know.
Hearing myself.
Do we got any boys in the chat? Any boys? I'll try to pull up my dashboard. Typically, it notifies me. But for some reason, it's not, which is fine. I'm not mad about it. For some reason, Streamlabs no longer tells me if there's viewers. So I have no clue if you're here. But if you're here, welcome, welcome. All right, I do have it up. Great. Hello, what's up, Stormbreaker? How you doing? All right, I'm gonna get right into the round 2 results here in a second. I'm doing good. Actually. You know, I had a weekend to refresh, kind of get rested, and I made a couple decisions for the streams over the weekend. I wasn't sure. I've been kind of I don't think I've been streaming a lot, but with my work and with everything else going on, it's been a lot, I feel like. So I've been trying to reassess what's the best direction to take the stream so that it's, engaging for everyone, it's exciting, and I want to stay excited myself when I'm talking about content. I don't want to get too redundant, and I want to have fun with everybody. So one of the decisions I made over the weekend was to push the Foreign Film Fridays to a monthly thing instead of a weekly thing. So now it'll no longer be every Friday, but it'll be the last Friday of every month. And that was just a decision I made just so I can kind of take a little more time on Fridays and recoup at the end of the week. I'll still probably be doing things on Fridays in the future, but right now it seems like the best bet was just to push that back and try to focus. By the way, I need to turn my light on here. Let me get it a little bit better positioning. I think that's a little bit better. I want to just kind of take more time to kind of focus what I'm doing on the stream so I can be more engaging when I'm actually doing it, because I felt like Foreign Film Friday is really good, but not everyone's free every Friday, so I think having a monthly film was probably a better way to go about it. So that way, everyone can be like, okay, last Friday of the month, I can do that, versus having it be every week can get kind of exhausting, spending 2 hours every Friday. So anyway, that's going to be a new thing. And then that way, we can get as many people here as possible. Everyone can kind of plan ahead for it, and that'll be better. Monday and Wednesday streams are still good. I've been getting delayed on pushing the content from my streams onto YouTube. I actually just went through and clipped our stream Stormbreaker from last Monday. And yeah, last Monday. No. Yeah, from last Monday. I'm all mixed up now. I went and clipped our stream talking about the MCU, and went and clipped it out. So those videos will be put up tomorrow or Wednesday, maybe split up across the two of them. So expect those clips out there on YouTube. I've been meaning to do that more frequently because I have in the past, that was kind of what I did. So if you missed it here, you can go see it. And I've kind of fell back on the YouTube side, so I'm trying to catch back up with that. So expect more being put on YouTube. 2 weeks ago. See, yeah. So I fell really behind on it. So this will be hopefully catching up. I'm going to get back on the right track and put those in on there. So I'm going to, then I'm trying to think of new things that I can do to be engaging. I'm really excited with where the channel's already grown. I want to try to figure out new ways and exciting things. I actually just messaged Trinity from Second Street Marvel about potentially coming on and doing a big MCU. What are the big MCU movies? Because I know he's super good person to pick the brain on. I want to kind of get in his head with that. So we'll see if that's down the pipeline. Not sure. Just trying to keep doing new stuff, keep it exciting. But I do want to get into the round 2 results for the battle bracket. So I'll just get right started. What is up, nerds, gamers, amateur movie critics? I am all those things, and that is why you are here watching Burke the Nerd. And we are going to have the round 2 battle bracket results. It's been pretty enraging to watch this battle bracket unfold because there's been just so many upsets. So many people that I think, I don't know if people pick them because they're popular. I don't know if people just don't know certain characters, but some of them have been pretty surprising. I remember round 1, some of the most surprising ones were probably, the fact that Mando almost beat Aslan. That was a weird one. I'm just looking at them now. The fact that Jake Sully beat Pikachu was a kind of weird one for me. Bran losing to Toothless was also kind of odd. So there's been some weird matchups, right? I still think Harry Potter should have beaten Luke. That's another one I'm salty about. But don't worry, there's still plenty of salty coming for this one. So I'll just get right into it. I'll pull up the bracket. Round 1, we had because I did an hour last time, and because there's half the amount of contestants. Remember Pikachu lost at the end of round 1 to Jake Sully from Avatar. He does have a dragon. He does have a massive dragon that he's riding. So I'll give him that. It's also Pikachu from Detective Pikachu. Not Pikachu from the anime, which obviously would be significantly stronger. A lot of people said kind of that was the deciding factor there. So just breaking into the round 2, there's some weird results. This one's a weird fight. Obviously, Agent J has a lot of experience fighting a lot of different aliens and stuff like that. And I do want to pull up, actually, the post so I can actually read off the powers I gave, because I feel like sometimes people did make those decisions based off the powers they're seeing. So I want to kind of read that out. An important thing I think we're also noticing is and this will come into play probably later, is that I'm trying to bring in the power set from just the certain movies and stuff that we see. This one was weird. Agent J got a lot of support, and a lot of the support behind Agent J, the idea was that I guess because he's taken out so many aliens in the past, and he's got really powerful weapons, that maybe he can detect Toothless and he can take him out. We didn't see that happen. Actually, Toothless won 12-5. Not surprised. Honestly, I think he'd win. I don't know how many people would. What's up, Captain Pennsylvania? What is up, man? Burke, the final finale is going to be Luke versus Obi-Wan. You already know it. I'm going to be so upset. I'm going to be so upset if Luke and Obi-Wan push all the way through this battle bracket, beat everyone else, and then it's just Luke and Obi-Wan. And the fact is, right now, it could easily happen. Captain Pennsylvania, dude, I'm glad you're here, man. What we're doing today is from 5:30 to 6, we're recapping the battle bracket we've been doing, which has been on our... no, this is just round 2. So every week we've been going through and voting on Instagram, and then I go through it right before my Monday streams. And then we just go through what the results are of the round. I typically get enraged that certain things don't go the way I think they should have. And then at 6, we'll get into our topic, and I'm going to bring on a guest. We're going to basically be talking about the console wars, whether we think Xbox or PS5 are going to be successful in that. So that's going to be a fun conversation too. Do I have your IG? I don't know if you do. It's actually right below my Twitch right here. So it's like if you scroll down a little bit, there's a little panel for my Twitch. I'm usually playing D&D at 6 now. Fun fact, Captain Pennsylvania, I created a system for Marvel D&D. It's I've been a DM for a long time, and mostly in homebrew. I've DM'd some 5e a while back, but I mostly DM'd a homebrew system I made, and then I made I wanted to play Marvel D&D, so I created a D&D Marvel system. It's kind of it's very homebrew, but it's still fun. Kind of my own little homebrew Marvel universe. Yeah, it's fun. You know what? Maybe sometime I'll create it. Maybe sometime like I'll reach out to the people in, like the Den and Nerds community. We can get a little group together and try playing it. I will admit I'm a big time casual with it. So like a lot of stuff is very loosey goosey versus if you play like 5th edition, it's very like strict, rigid. So I don't play that way because I guess just the way I grew up with it. Scotty Summers, I like it, dude. You got what's your racing class? I'd be interested. I played some 5e. I was an Air Ganassi Druid for a while. I played a Blood Hunter, which was fun for a little while. That's the Matt Mercer's like version. I always like the homebrew stuff. That's cool with me. Middle name is Casual. Yeah, seriously. I have a feeling that I have to get into D&D because I hear a lot of people praising it. Stormbreaker, I'll tell you what, maybe someday I'll reach out to the Den of Nerds in the near future and we can set up a Den of Nerds Marvel D&D and try out I can show you guys my system. Problem is, though, if we do that, you're going to figure out that a lot of the comic stuff I'm going to reinterpret because when you go too far into the comics, you lose me and I don't remember it. I don't know everything. So, but no, that'd be definitely pretty fun to do that. It's cool story. Dragonborn Barbarian, that's sick. Oh, named Bronin. Yeah, I did see you say that in the Den of Nerds chat. That's cool. All right, so I'm gonna go. So we got Hellboy won the first round. Keep throwing this stuff in. I love D&D chat. Actually, I've been thinking about when I originally started this channel. I'm gonna keep going on the track of it. I wanted to do a lot of conversations about board games and D&D too. I wasn't sure. I'm not sure how much the people that currently watch are like interested in that stuff. But if there's room for it and people want to talk about like D&D or board games or something like that, I could totally start talking about that a little more in my content. I don't know. I didn't know if anyone would be interested in it, so I didn't want to like bore everyone. All right, yeah, dope, man. All right, so let's go into the next one. If I can remember how to change the slide thing. Aha. Okay. So the next fight. This is a weird one. You'd be into it, Stormbreaker? Sick. We'll do that. So the next fight was weird. It was King Kong versus Hellboy, and admittedly, I haven't seen the most recent Hellboy, which is where I power scaled him to. I did do my research and make sure I gave him the right power set, but admittedly, I haven't seen the most recent version of Hellboy. I know he's much more powerful than the original or the older Hellboy movie. Which just to go through his power set, he's got super strength, regeneration, heat resistance. He can turn into a big demon, which he basically can grow massive, have wings. He has control of lightning, fire manipulation. Like, he's got all of this stuff. I know it sucks, but admittedly, I wanted to do him because I knew he was more powerful than the older version where he's just got like the pistol and he's a little more durable. So I gave him that version, and apparently he must have been even stronger than I was assuming. Because everyone agreed he beats out King Kong. He won 13-4. I voted for King Kong because regardless of your power set, like King Kong's massive, and I don't know. Like I would have thought that King Kong would have come out on top, but maybe he was even stronger than I assumed. Like King Kong's like gigantic. Like how does he? I don't know. I really don't know. I'm a little upset. My heart's a little hurt that King Kong got knocked out that early, but maybe there's something in it. We're going to see how the next round unfolds because that means that Hellboy's going to be going up against Toothless in the next one, and there's been a lot of fan support for Toothless already. So, yeah, Skull Island Kong would have demolished him. That's what I'm thinking. Like, I don't know why. I really don't know. I have no clue. I have no clue why it turned out that way. It was Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. So he's the one. He's got like super speed. He's got like he can basically turn himself like invisible, breathe like lightning. Like he's got a lot of power sets. So he's gonna be crazy. He beat out Agent J from Men in Black. So It'll be interesting. He's actually the only animated one. I was kind of weird. Yeah, he's a dragon. He was kind of the only one that I animated that I added. I just felt like I felt like he fit more here than if I did like an anime or an animated heroes or something like that. So I wanted to put him in here. I felt like he'd be a good fit in this group. You have to watch the How to Train Your Dragons. It is really good. It is really good. I haven't watched the most recent one. I think there's 3 now. I haven't watched the most recent one, but I do like it from everything I've seen. On the level of Toy Story, a lot of people are saying that. It's got really good ratings. Yeah. All right, so I'll move on to the next one. Again, this is a weird one, but Hellboy versus Toothless is going to be weird. The next 2 are just like complete knockouts, which is not surprising. If anyone had voted for Jack Sparrow, we would have all called them like senile or something. So this makes complete sense that it went the way it did. Luke Skywalker completely obliterates. 14-0 votes. Jack Sparrow didn't stand a chance. Jack Sparrow has a plot armor to him. His power is that really he just like survives. He's skilled as marksman. He's a skilled swordsman, but really like he's just lucky, and that's really more than anything. He's got drunken luck, literally. So yeah, I know Luke. He's my dad. Nice. But yeah. Luke 14-0, no surprise there. I won't waste too much time on it. But I'll tell you this much. He should not have beaten Harry Potter. Luke should not have beaten Harry Potter. Because like, Harry Potter, oh my goodness. I can't do it. Harry Potter lost in round 1 to Luke. I'm upset about it. Harry can beat Luke. That's what I'm saying. Harry can easily beat Luke. I'm not saying it wouldn't be a good fight. I'm not saying that there's a chance that Luke could win. But I'm saying like at least 7 out of 10 times Harry's beating Luke. But all the Luke Skywalker, all the Star Wars stands came in and they said 14-6 they beat him in round 1. So it's just and this is the start of my concern. Anytime you do a battle bracket, because the Den of Nerds did the same thing, right? Den of Nerds did the same thing, and it was like Luke versus Darth Vader at the end of their bracket, right? And so I'm so upset because Luke's going to go up against Darth Vader at the end of this, and it's just going to make me upset. You know what would be funny? To do a Star Wars battle bracket. Because if you did a Star Wars battle bracket, everyone would be too busy being like, oh, we got a Star Wars battle bracket. We're so happy to like, oh, we want everyone to win because they're all Star Wars characters. And then you'd have no winner. So whatever. Exactly. You'd expect it's like, oh, so frustrating. So I'm really worried it's going to be Luke and Obi-Wan in the finals. Whatever. So this next one's an obvious upset too. I actually thought some people would vote for Neo. We're giving Neo the power set of the Matrix. So we're talking like Neo in Jar Jar would win that bracket. Yeah, he would. We're giving Neo the power set of in the Matrix. We wanted to give him those powers. I think Neo has a chance there. I think he has a chance, but Godzilla won it, and I'm not going to argue with those people, but Godzilla won 14-0, so there was not a single person that thought Neo had a chance. So, yeah, I mean, I think that, like, maybe 1 out of 10 times Neo could take it, but, I mean, apparently it's all Godzilla. Because, like, I don't know, I mean, I guess you have to think, like, how could you even kill Godzilla? Like, even if you had a ton of powers, if you're still like the size of a human confined to a lot of their strength feats, yeah, you run those issues. This is a weird one, guys. This is seriously, this next one's a weird one. And this is Aslan versus the Witcher, right? So we got Geralt of Rivia, Geralt of Rivia. I keep saying Geralt, and I've watched The Witcher. You know, I've played like I don't know why I keep saying Geralt, but I keep just saying it. Doesn't he have super? Yeah, he does. So like I don't even know. Honestly, couldn't tell you why they did that, but they did it, and and that's just where we're at now. That's what we're dealing with. But anyway, this is the weird one. Geralt of Rivia versus Aslan. Aslan is actually God. Okay, he's actually God in their world. But I'll give you this. I did say a caveat that this is Aslan from the movie The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, not the books. So this is from Chronicles of Narnia. Aslan's from Chronicles of Narnia. I said specifically from the movies. Okay, so that's an important context. Is that I did give him his movie strengths. Okay. That being said, he's still a god in that, but we don't see him have like godlike feats, right? I mean, he still fights, this witch, like ice witch, right? And so, you kind of would think that he's not as powerful as a deity in that, right? Kind of like Gandalf, like he's super powerful, but he seems almost restricted in a way, right? He can only do certain things. Yeah, I think we will get the Netflix series. But regardless, you'd think, okay, he's probably a god. Witcher, he's got magical powers, but he still like struggles fighting like monsters, right? So, but I'll tell you what, this was the weirdest one. And one of those ones where people were raging. I was myself in there like, hey guys, maybe you should think about this voting. But people in the Instagram voted how they wanted to vote, and The Witcher won. Geralt of Rivia won 9-8. So Geralt's moving on to the next round. Yeah, I know. I mean, I can't say no, you're wrong. I'm not gonna put it in. I have to do it. I mean, I know. It's just crazy. So Geralt's moving on, and every time I put in big caps, I'm like, this is not a popularity contest. This is a battle. But I don't know. I mean, the only argument you could make is that in the movies, he doesn't show the strength feats, right? Because you have there's two camps on this. There's the what he's supposed to be able to do and what we actually see them do. And that's one of the conflicts when you're doing these brackets is do you judge it? It's the same we did when we were doing the Marvel villains. We had a Marvel villains battle bracket where we did the Marvel Cinematic Universe villains and we pit them against each other, right? That was the one before this. And we had to have that argument where do we go with what they can do in the comics, or do we do what we know they have capability of doing, or do we use only what we've seen in the movies? And ultimately, I think you have to go with what you can only see in the movies. But even if you do that, I still think Aslan takes it. But I do think it's closer if you only take it off his movie feats. But that was just my 2 cents on that one. Whatever. Cavil of Rivia is not on the level of Aslan. Come on, why are they stands voting on that bracket? I know. It is what it is. I do think it's closer if you take the movie one, but but whatever. But anyway, wait, I want to go back real quick because I forgot to mention, this means that Luke Skywalker is going up against, Luke Skywalker is going up against Godzilla in the next round. If Luke wins that, I'm going to be upset. I just wanted to mention that. But anyway, who knows? So Geralt of Rivia is going on to the next one. And then this one, I wonder who will win. Yeah. People in the Den of Nerds one said they beat Goku, didn't he? I forget. So this one is Dumbledore versus RoboCop. A weird one. Dumbledore should obviously win. And he obviously won. 13-2. Simple one. There's not really a lot of people that are pure RoboCop fans. No one's coming in and being like, I'm a RoboCop fan. RoboCop beats everyone. No one really does that. But Dumbledore, he's in here. I actually expected to have Harry Potter fans come and support Harry Potter, because there's a lot of Harry Potter stands too that are like, Harry beats everyone. But I don't know. It is what it is. This is the final matchup. And I saved some time. My boy RoboCop coming to Mortal Kombat. That's going to be fun, dude. That's going to be fun. So we're going to be talking about console wars, and we might get to that, because I think, is Mortal Kombat a PS5 exclusive? I forget if Mortal Kombat's an exclusive, but I think it is. Yeah, I don't know. So we got 5 minutes, and then we're bringing our boy Noah in for that conversation. That's going to be fun. And then I'm going to be playing some Valorant while we talk about it. That'll be a good, but it's going to be a good conversation. It's 5 minutes. But this is the last battle bracket matchup for round 2. The guy that played the dad in the Tsunami movie wins this one. No worries, Captain Pennsylvania. We do Mondays and Wednesdays at 6. 6 on Wednesdays, I typically is a more casual setting. Basically, we just have like an open mic. I have a couple topics I want to talk about off the top, and then we basically go through whatever questions you guys have, and we can have deep discussions. Last week, we talked about Rick and Morty, the new episode of Rick and Morty. We talked about what did we talk about? Jeez. We talked about some new Marvel news, and then we talked about Stormbreaker. If you remember, let me know. But also, Captain Pennsylvania, if you want, I drop stuff. I love it. We drop stuff. Big Time Rush. That was Monday. We talked about Big Time Rush and the Nickelodeon cinematic universe. No, I'm dropping all the content on YouTube later too, so I put it all on YouTube after the fact. Yeah, I was talking about how they could reboot the DCEU and what they should do, and I talked about how to make the Teen Titans and the Young Justice series as DC movies, and how you would build that instead of the Justice League first. It was a really fun conversation. It got derailed to Nickelodeon and Disney cinematic universes. It was a fun time. It was a big joke. But what we do is I put it on YouTube, and after, typically a week or two later, I'll put it on YouTube. I post it on Instagram when I do that. I'll be putting me and Stormbreaker's conversation about how we would, or what's coming on Phase 4 of the MCU. That's getting posted up tomorrow. So if you want to see the Marvel stuff with me and Stormbreaker, that's going up on YouTube on Monday. And then, do I like the community streams? I love the community streams when I can be there. I typically don't sit in on the Star Wars ones. I just don't have enough to say. I'll put stuff in when I can on here, but it just changes. I'll let you know, Captain Pennsylvania. It's going to be going up tomorrow if you want to see the Stormbreaker one on YouTube. And then I clip it so you can watch like segments if you don't want to watch the full 2-hour stream. And then I've been trying to do the community streams, and then I do my own stuff. And then I don't do community streams yet, but I have people on. So I had Stormbreaker on. I had a couple other people on. And then, so if you ever want to come on for a topic, I know you've been on the community stream before, so I've talked to you there. If you ever want to come on and do a topic, let's do it, man. I'm down, 100% down. So we can set that up sometime. Always willing, always ready. So just let me know. We can set that up. I've had Stormbreaker on a couple times. Also, the DC one was a really fun conversation. I basically walked through how they could do like 4 phases of DC movies, but focused on on Young Justice and Teen Titans. It was a really fun conversation. I'll put that up on theirs too. If you have something, I know I'm in. I've never been on the community stream. Yeah. So, dude, I'll share you. We'll have a conversation. Maybe we'll do that through Discord and we can start talking about it. Let me just do a quick topic on this last matchup because I'm upset because Sonic lost to Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I get it was the movie Sonic. But come on. Even in the movie, he's basically moving almost as slow as time. Like, it's ridiculous. He thinks you're Dan the Man. No? I don't think so. I don't know if I thought you were on once, but maybe I was wrong. Okay. I've only been on the community streams like 2 or 3 times. So, whatever. But listen, yeah, like I'll check out your IG. Yeah, is it Captain Pennsylvania on Instagram too? I'll just follow you there. Oh, sick, man. Thanks. Yeah, I'll follow you back. Yeah, so this is like ridiculous, okay? Guys, this is ridiculous. I'm gonna bring in my boy, and he can rage with me for the last like 5 seconds, and then we're gonna get into the console wars discussion. I'll tell him he can hop on. And honestly, like, what? Why did Sonic not win that? I need to know because it just doesn't make sense to me. How Sonic could lose to Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's just crazy. I'm gonna bring in Noah here, also known as Snaps on the Twitch. What is up, Noah? How you doing?
Hello. Hi
okay.
There. Made it just in time, I guess.
See you, man. See you, Captain. And dude, we'll have you on sometime. So I just finished raging about the fact that people thought Obi-Wan Kenobi could beat Sonic in a fight.
I mean, I could see it. I wouldn't. I'd be surprised, honestly, but I could definitely see
I
it.
get it's movie Sonic, and maybe he doesn't have as crazy of a moveset, but come on, he can still move like as slow as time almost. Like and he can teleport. Oh my goodness, I'm just so frustrated.
But I mean, yeah, yeah, that's fair. That's completely fair. I have nothing else to say on that.
I was saying, so I have to just conclude with all the matchups, and then we can go right into our console wars discussion. Movie Sonic is actually 100 times faster as the game, but that's what I'm saying. He's even probably stronger. So the matchups for the next round are going to be Toothless versus Hellboy. That's going to be a super fun one to see, because that could go either way. That legitimately could go either way, especially if people are saying Hellboy could beat King Kong, which is another crazy upset. But I could see that could go either way. The second round matchup is going to be Luke Skywalker versus Godzilla. And what upsets me is I know how this is going to go, and I'm already angry because people are going to vote for Luke Skywalker to beat Godzilla. Are you there? Are you upset?
I'm sorry. I was looking up info for the console wars discussion, and I completely stopped listening.
Listen, what I'm trying to say is Luke Skywalker is going up against Godzilla, and I know that there's a ton of people that are going to go in there and they're going to vote for Luke Skywalker. We're talking Luke Skywalker versus Godzilla. Laser beams, taller than skyscrapers, Godzilla.
I mean, honestly, that's another one where I'm like, you know what? It could go either way.
No, it couldn't.
It totally could.
Oh, come on. All right, that's fair. I'll let it go. I just don't want to see Luke Skywalker versus Obi-Wan in the finale. That's not...
I know. I popped into the stream for a couple minutes and I saw someone say that and I was like, oof, yeah, that would be.
I just don't want it.
That would be so toxic.
The Den of Nerds. Yeah, the Den of Nerds. It's happening, Burke. Dig it. I can't. They did a Den of Nerds, which is a YouTube channel we love. Why would Danish hospitals get paid per corona death? The numbers are bloated. No heart attacks registered since the. I don't know where that's coming from.
Yeah, that's for a completely different discussion.
I think you're in the wrong. but welcome either way, man. It's welcome to the conversation, man. It's good to have you.
Yeah, we're not talking that shit right now.
but yeah, so I probably won't investigate. I probably will not investigate that. But anyway, yeah. So then the next matchup. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. The next matchup is going to be Geralt of Rivia versus Dumbledore because Geralt beat Aslan, which is crazy too. But that'll be an interesting fight. Dumbledore should definitely take that, but maybe I don't know.
That Geralt versus Aslan. I voted for Geralt for that as well.
Yeah,
I think that makes the most sense. I saw people, I don't know if you were one of the people saying this, but I saw some people be saying, well, Aslan is literally God. And
right.
To be fair, like, yeah, kind of, sort of. The way I remember The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Aslan was a representation of God, but from what I remember about The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, there wasn't anything that happened during the story that, like, presented Aslan with, like, a deity's powers or ability. I mean, I think he resurrected himself or something like that. Like, towards the end of the story,
and that's a good argument.
But yeah, like but yeah, like everyone knows, like, oh, Aslan equals God because like in school we learned that like the entire story was a very religious allegory
Right.
written by a very religious author, which is fine. But like the character himself, I don't
Right.
remember being godly in
Yep.
any way. So
And
I
that
don't
was
know.
the discussion we had was the difference. This is what we had to do for the MCU villains battle bracket is the same as here. Is that I had to pick a very specific instance of the character so you can take only those reference points and use them for power scaling. Because if we took the MCU villains and we said, oh, well, they're much stronger in the comics. It's like, yeah, but there's also tons of instances of that. And we need to have one instance that we can reference and be like, this is where that power is. So I think what a lot of people might have done, I think the fight is close. But I think I think only if you judge it by the movie, because you're right, in the movie, he is a representation of God, and even if he gets resurrected or whatever, like we can only judge him by the powers that we saw within that universe, and that is in the movies. If we have the books reference a higher power level of that character. And I think a lot of people have read the books and they know that. And it was the same with Gandalf, where people are like, Gandalf's literally God. I'd be like, yeah, but we've seen only this power set. We can't assume other power sets and make a judgment from there. So I think it is closer than people are thinking. And I think a lot of people are like, Aslan's going to clearly win, but only because they're judging from the book version. Now, Stormbreaker made a point that they're going to be making a... I think Stormbreaker is getting in on the conversation. Stormbreaker. That's funny. No, but I think like it was the same conversation there. We really can only go from one instance, and we have to judge it from that. You can't really say, well, we think that he can have this, because like, well, we didn't see it, so we don't know. Yeah. So anyway, Geralt of Rivia versus Dumbledore. That's gonna be a fun fight. I feel like I have a winner in my head, but I'm not going to, go too far into it. And then we have, I actually didn't do the last result. Sorry. There was one more fight, and it was Jake Sully versus T-800 Terminator, and surprisingly, Terminator won, despite Jake Sully beating out Pikachu. So that was a weird fight for me, but it is what it is. And that means that T-800 will go up against Obi-Wan in the last matchup, and that'll be a fun one to watch, actually. Another interesting fight. Again, who knows? Probably be Star Wars people to the end. But anyway, that is the end of that discussion. I look forward to seeing the voting on that. And then again, we'll have the round 3 results on next Monday's stream. And yeah, so that'll be fun. I'll be back. Stormbreaker, we'll see you in a second, hopefully. All right. So I'm going to start booting up the game. And why don't you just set the frame? Let's talk a little bit about the console wars. What are you thinking about it?
I am like, oh my God, like, you know how it felt to follow like Game of Thrones as it was coming out,
right,
or like Breaking Bad when it was airing on TV, like that's how I feel about this. I am
really
so heavily invested. Yeah. I am so stoked over all this news. It's just because like it's just so fun to it's so fun to speculate, and it's so fun to compare and like have discussions over like who's quote unquote winning, and
right,
what I can't think of the word, but like why do we think he's just winning, basically. And I mean, it's honestly, it's a hot mess. It's all a hot mess, but it really is. But what makes that so exciting is that like the more like it's a hot mess now, and that's only going to influence the launch of these consoles more and more. So like if like we're gonna get into this later, but like as scuffed as the PS5 lead up to launch is right now, that is only going to determine how well it does at launch and what decisions they make going forward. So like the more insane stuff we see, whether good and bad, is only going to kind of help us get an idea of the kind of stuff that we're going to see down the road. So it's just yeah, it's just really fun watching the decisions that are being made from Microsoft and Sony.
So what do we know so far? Let's break it down, because obviously the console wars. What we're talking about here is we're talking about this the new PlayStation console versus the new Xbox console, the new Microsoft console. So do you want to just set the frame? Like, what do we know so far about these two consoles?
Oh boy. Well, we can start the conversation by talking about what we know about the PS5, because it's not a lot.
Yes, yeah.
So yeah, the PS5, we don't know what it looks like. Sony released the design for the controller,
Right.
which
kind of weird.
it does look very different.
Oh, I was saying more. It's just weird that they just only released the controller look.
Yeah, we'll talk about we'll talk about the announcements so far in a little bit.
Okay.
But I can talk. Yeah, I can give my opinions on that stuff too. But
yeah,
we know how the controller looks. We know a bit about what's going on under the hood, hardware wise. That was the kind of controversial Sony PS5 announcement that happened last month.
Right.
So we know how much power it has. We know what kind of hardware it's utilizing. And we do know a few games that will be available at launch.
Right.
And that's more or less it. We don't have a price point. We don't know what the console looks like. And if it weren't for the, overwhelming wealth of information that Microsoft has given us, that would be perfectly fine for a console launch.
Right.
Maybe not this close to its release, but if we knew this much about the console like a month or two ago, this would be a pretty decent showing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, now we can move over to Microsoft. We know a whole
yeah.
about the Series X. We know not only the design of the console, but we know exactly what's going on under the hood, to the point where you can watch videos on YouTube where people are taking it apart and showing the the design specs. You can see all of the hardware that's going on inside, which is very interesting because of how the hardware is designed, because of this like very unique form factor that the Series X has. They did a lot of really unique things when designing all of the hardware components on the inside. But yeah, so we know exactly how it looks. We know exactly what's inside it. We know what the controller looks like, obviously. We know the technical specifications. We have a whole lot of information on launch titles. Xbox actually just did a inside Xbox event press release kind of thing. The other day they live streamed it on YouTube and other platforms, and they showed us a bunch of other really fresh launch titles that'll be available for the Series X. So we have a lot of information about that. They are implementing new programs like why can't I think of the name of this thing? Basically, I can't believe I forgot what this is called, but it's a system where when you buy a new game that is available on the Series X, you can also play it on any of the Xbox One consoles. So let's say, because Cyberpunk is going to be coming out in the next couple months. Mm-hmm. That's a title that people are really looking forward to. So if you pre-order Cyberpunk and you get it day one, obviously Cyberpunk is coming out before the Series X comes out. And you're playing it on your Xbox One, and that's all fine and good, but if you also want to play it on the Series X, that means you have to buy a whole nother copy. Psych, right. No you don't, because of this new kind of system that they implemented where as long as you buy a copy of Cyberpunk,
right,
you can play it day one on your Xbox One, and then when you get your Series X, you can just pop it right in your Series X and keep on playing. Yeah,
I did not know about that. That is awesome.
Yeah, it's really it's honestly it's smart as hell on Microsoft's part, because that's going to be so much. It's honestly surprising too, because when you think about it, that kind of puts a damper on what, like, the sales of these games.
Yeah.
Right? Because obviously the way it used to work is you would have to do that for, cross-generation games, and they would make that, the studios would make that much more money as a result.
Yeah.
So it's actually interesting to think that these studios and Microsoft as a whole decided, we're going to convenience the player by, kind of helping them get like a 2-for-1 deal type thing with this.
I have a side note on that, a quick comment on it. So when you say that, my initial thought, I just blinded myself. My initial thought is what's happening with Universal right now, and AMC theaters, where
I did hear about this.
Where essentially, there's this whole issue because they straight up said, like, we're not going to play, or we're going to go direct to video and all this stuff. And then AMC's like, no, you're not. They're like, we're not going to play any of your movies in our theaters now because you did this. And it makes me think, like, isn't this kind of the same thing where Xbox is basically saying, oh, yeah, we're, screw the games. We want people to buy more of our consoles. And one of the barriers is that they won't buy our consoles if they have so many games for the Xbox. So they're like, oh, whatever, we'll just let those games work for the Xbox, the new Xbox, that way. But so is there a gain to the game developers, like those companies, for this happening? The only one I could see is maybe people are hesitant to buy the copy at initial release because they're like, well, I'm getting the new Xbox, and if I get it now, I'll have to switch, get it again. You know what I'm saying? That's the only positive I could see. But even then, it's not like a big one.
Yeah, I mean, like, and that's my point too, is that it seems like the studios and the developers are kind of taking a hit with this, because they're not selling as many copies. But I really don't know the logistics of that. All I know is that in order for the way I'm thinking about it is that in order for this to be possible with these games, the developers and the programmers would have to
make it.
Yeah, they would have to enable that feature with these games.
Right.
They would have to include the ability to play on both consoles. So I mean, my first instinct is to be like, oh, the developers are in on this, like they are willing to make this change. But at the same time, you could maybe make the argument that that decision was kind of forced down their throats, and maybe they're not happy about it. I don't know. I haven't heard any press or like seen any articles talking about how developers are feeling about this change. But I'm actually very interested in that now. I might look that up.
Yeah, because it's definitely. I think there's an argument to made that maybe they did the math and they're like, you know what? Whenever the consoles switch over, we do kind of take a hit to our sales because people are worried about buying them too early or whatever. So we're like, maybe this is a good idea because now you can buy the game and it won't matter. I don't know. I could see an argument being made for that. I'm not positive on it, but I could see an argument. Real quick, Stormbreaker said, Stormbreaker said, oh, just as a side note, they canceled the Swamp Thing show. CW is actually going to bring out the full season. Oh, cool. I didn't know that. And then Salad Dan said, I got an ad for Bud Light Seltzer, but I'm 19. Should I go to jail or should Burke? We both go to jail for that. We're both going down together. And then Stormbreaker said, "I'm actually 19 and too, and I got it. So yeah, yeah, Mark's flying to prison. I'm going down, boys." No, that's you know what that means? You saw an ad, which means it's like every 1,000 people to see an ad, I get $3. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, that's lit.
Yeah, but it's 1,000 people. So, you know, me and my 1,000 buddies are gonna go watch some ads.
Yeah.
But no, it is a good thing, and it's all thanks to you guys, because it is actually a pretty crazy thing to even be like, hey, we're gonna put ads on your like content is like still like a kind of like pretty like good affirmation that I'm doing something right. So
yeah,
but really more it just means that you guys are really supportive. So thanks again for that. So wait, so yeah, that is a weird thing, and it does seem eerily familiar, like with the AMC debacle. But it seems like this one maybe there's a little bit more of a win-win. Maybe it's kind of hard to say at this point. I don't know.
Smart delivery. That's the name of the thing. Smart delivery. So I looking up this question has been a hassle because I had to figure out what the damn thing was called first.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a really good deal though. Like as a consumer, that's really good.
Oh yeah, no doubt. That's
I mean, it limits, because you do have concerns of like, do I buy the game because I'm getting the new console soon? And then you're at the same note, you're like, do I buy the console because I have so many games that are. Is it only for new games coming out, or is it all the games you currently have?
It's just for new games coming out. But the Xbox Series X will be backwards compatible with Xbox One games, and I believe like all generations of Xbox as well.
Wow.
Which is another huge selling point for them right now, and another reason that people looking forward to the PS5 are pretty bummed out, because so far Sony has only confirmed that the PS5 will be backwards compatible with PS4 games.
Right.
And with that, I mean, the problem comes down to with Sony, it comes down to the fact that the PS3 hardware was so much more complicated. I don't know the exact ins and outs of it, but basically the PS3 hardware was like much different than any other generation. So to enable backwards compatibility with all of those generations, including the PS3, is just kind of like a nightmare for both Sony and developers. And it's just they had the same problem when the PS4 came out too, for that exact same reason. So people, I mean, there's people still like really, really hoping that the PS5 is going to be backwards compatible, across all generations, but it's hard to believe that that's actually going to be a reality.
Yeah, and PlayStation has never seemed, because they've been really on that hype train of let's remaster all these games so you can buy them again.
Yeah.
Versus
they
Xbox.
Did a lot of that in this last generation.
Xbox did it with Halo, but it doesn't seem like they've done it with a lot of the other games.
Yeah, that's true. I just found I wasn't able to find anything just with a quick Google search about how devs feel about smart delivery as a whole, but I was able to find, and I remember hearing about this, specifically CD Projekt Red, the developers of The Witcher as well as Cyberpunk.
Right.
They did speak out on smart delivery. So when Microsoft announced the smart delivery system, they posted about it on Twitter, and the official Cyberpunk 2077 Twitter retweeted it saying Gamers should never be forced to purchase the same game twice or pay for upgrades.
That's a really good point. Is that a shot at EA? I hear shots.
Everyone is within their right to take shots at EA at this point.
Yeah. Though I'll tell you this, right now they're offering one. Is it EA? I think it's EA. Maybe it's just Xbox Live. Actually, I stand correct. There is the EA game thing. You can like get a membership to EA, which is a pretty good deal. You pay like a certain amount a month, and you just get it's like a subscription to EA games.
Oh, right. Yeah. Sorry, I'm still looking into this.
All right, you're fine. I just got a kill.
Nice.
Yo, okay, guys, I have to thank you all because I played this game the other day, not streaming, and I sucked at it. And whenever I play streaming, I do decent. So thank you, guys. Real quick, Stormbreaker said, ladies and gentlemen, we got him. FBI standing outside your doorstep, referring to me trying to sell alcoholic beverages to them via my ads. Unpopular opinion, the PS3 sucked. Only the Call of Duty games were good. Ooh. The PS3 sucked. What games? Nah, there's the Uncharted games, The Last of Us. Those were good games, right?
I think games released on the PS3 were not bad at all.
The console itself sucked.
Yeah, I think the console is more what's really contentious with people. It was fine for the time, but it had a lot of issues at launch. It was way overpriced, and that's like inevitably what kind of killed it for its generation. I mean, the Xbox 360 problems at launch as well, but I think the games really solidified its popularity.
Oh yeah,
the Xbox 360 had a lot of games, or had a lot of great games for that generation.
I had both.
So.
I had both, and the Xbox 360 was definitely far outshined the PS3.
Yeah.
Oh, you're coming in a little.
Am I coming in wonky?
You're getting a little better.
Yeah. I'm not.
Oh. Are you still there?
I'm not speaking from my usual location, so.
It was good. It was good for a while. It just cut out recently. I think I can hear you.
Can you?
Have you moved locations since last week? Since like the last minute?
No. Like my
you sound good now.
Connection might be a little shoddy, so forgive me.
Oh, you're all right. You sound a little better.
A little better?
Yeah.
How about now?
Yep, better. Much better.
Better? Okay, gotcha. Okay, I think I know what the problem was. So, okay, I actually did find a little bit more information on how devs feel about smart delivery.
Yeah, please share.
Okay.
They made the Wii on PS3. They made the Wii on PS3.
What?
He said, Saladan said, what do you mean? They made the Wii on PS3, on the PS3.
Okay, so the co-founder of these are what I'm reading is this article, the writer, the organization, The Fly, that made this article, reached out to indie game developers and asked them what they thought about smart delivery.
Mm-hmm.
And the co-founder of Red Blue Games said, as a gamer, I often find it difficult to purchase games near the next-gen console's launch. I either have to wait to play the game until the new system comes out or buy it for a soon-to-be outdated console.
Right.
And then he goes on to say, hopefully this will also pay off for developers by removing the incentives for customers to hold off on buying games. So
yeah. Okay. So that was kind of what we were saying. So okay, that sounds good. Okay, so I'm on board with it. I'm on board with the motion of the ocean.
Yeah.
So I had a train of thought. What was it? So what do you think is the prime like selling point of prime selling point of these games or like these consoles? Like what is their main like this is our thing. This is what we do.
Well, there's I mean, again, there's really not a lot that we know about the PS5 right now, so it's hard to say for the PS5. For the most part, right now, it's all like technical achievements.
Right.
So obviously, anytime a new console comes out, they're trying to focus on how much better is it than the previous console, and the easiest area to focus on in that regard is power and graphics. So they've both got like a lot going on in that regard. They're both using SSDs, which is basically, for people who don't know,
solid state drives.
Yeah, it's a solid state drive. It's very common in PCs now. When you're building a PC, you want an SSD because basically, instead of using a hard drive, like a brick that you install for like storage and basically just like the transfer of data between like your memory and all the fucking technical hardware inside the hardware. Instead of that brick that runs a bit slower, an SSD now will run much faster. So basically, because of the SSD, load times are going to be reduced significantly. Problems like, graphical pop-in is going to be, more or less completely done away with. Like, the implementation of an SSD in a console is really, really huge. And both Sony and Microsoft have spoken at length about how significant this is for their consoles.
Because they both are doing
again,
right?
Yeah, they're both implementing SSDs. So we've heard them both talk about how, absolutely insignificant these loading times are going to be. We've heard at Sony's press release talking about the, what's going on under the hood. They were talking about how, you could, in past games, because of how difficult it is to render an entire map at once, basically, right? That's why you experience pop-in, is because, graphically it's not feasible to load that much detail at once. So they were talking about how, with an SSD and all of the other kind of technical implementations that they've made, you wouldn't have to implement level design that kind of bottlenecks the player to allow the world to load. Right. So like in past games, you might kind of be forced down a corridor, like a very like tight space, just because it, instead of giving you a loading screen, just because the game in the meantime has to load whatever area you're about to go into. But now, instead of being constricted in that way, game devs will be able to be a bit more free and expansive and creative when it comes to making their worlds, because it's not going to take nearly as much effort on the part of the hardware to load all of that stuff and to render all of those things.
Yeah. So that kind of leads to a question that I have, which I'm not sure if maybe you would. So you have this branding position, right? So each console is going to take a position, right? So they're kind of like, this is the market space that I'm trying to take. Right. And it seems to me, this is just my observation, but it seems like the Xbox has gotten bulkier, while the PlayStation has kind of remained slim. Is kind of focused on like more of a sleek appearance to it, and has tried to stay small, more compact. But the Xbox has kind of gone full tilt. Like, we're gonna make big consoles. We're gonna make this, and I'm not just talking aesthetically. There's a reason behind it. And from my experience, the biggest reason you'd make something bigger is so you can have better computing power, and you can outperform your competition, right?
Yeah.
So I guess the question that I'm asking is like, what do you think is their brand position that these two consoles are taking? Because I believe that it seems to me that Xbox is taking the position of we're gonna be the console you use when you want to play competitive games, competitive shooters, games that take a lot of GPU to use, right? They take a lot of computing power. We're gonna take those games and we're gonna make you be able to play them well. Because like I have cousins that play more console games. I play more PC. But I've watched them play, and one of the big things that I've noticed is when they're playing these games, like I play Apex Legends a lot. Some of you know that. And I play it on PC, and I watched my cousin play it and on console, and the graphics were awful. They were trash. Okay. And you needed that because that's the best way that you can play the game well. Right?
Right.
Like even at best performance, an Xbox won't perform at the level of a PC. Like, it can't. So, but it seems like maybe they're trying to close that gap. Because I've thought maybe the Xbox is trying to compete more with the computer now, versus kind of like PlayStation has seemed like it's trying to be, it's trying to stay for the casual gamer. It's going to focus on like storyline driven games. We had a conversation about this a couple months ago where we talked a little bit about it, but probably not to this depth. But I don't know. I'm kind of just rambling about it, but like it seems like PlayStation does well with like sports games, and then also like games that are more like casual, more story driven. Versus like Xbox has been the place you go, at least for the last generation, where you want to play competitive shooters. You want to play games that require a little bit more computing power, but you don't want to take that step to PC. Do you think they're taking an approach like that? Do you agree with me on the previous gen? And do you think they're taking a similar stance for the next generation?
Yeah, I can absolutely see that, and I do pretty much agree with you on that. Basically, yeah, the way I've kind of delineated each console is that if you want a really good like single player experience, you go for PS4 because there are like arguably the best single player experiences in console gaming in the last generation were PS4 hands down.
Right.
But again, at the same time, I do think that Xbox is like very online driven. Generally, if we're thinking of playing like Call of Duty or like you said, Apex or anything, any of those games on console, generally we're thinking that it's going to be on Xbox, and that's just kind of how, like you said, that's just kind of how they've branded themselves. And it does, if you think about it, it really just makes sense for Microsoft to go in that direction because,
right.
I mean, it's Microsoft. They've already got a foot in the door when it comes to,
right.
PC. So, and we've seen this kind of this growth into the PC market with them, with like with Xbox Game Pass going to PC. And like xCloud, and they've done a lot in the last generation to integrate their console content with PC content. I mean, to your statement about the Xbox getting bigger and bigger, I like that you mentioned that because there's something that I very, very, very important about the Xbox Series X that I think a lot of people don't realize. Because if you think about it, the only way that we've, for the most part, like in the like front and center public eye, the only way that we've seen the Xbox Series X is in those like high quality renders of like the images that Xbox themselves have put out, right? Like from the trailer. But I feel like, and I've seen videos on YouTube of like content creators like who do a lot of like technology, like PC building kind of talk. They've been able to like get their hands on an Xbox Series X and like show off, like I said, like what's going on under the hood and like how, some of its features, how it plays, stuff like that. And I realized something because like I read an article once and I read something that was really, really interesting. And then I saw this video that I'm talking about from these content creators. And I realized this. And again, I don't think many people realize it because of the images that we've seen that Microsoft's put out. Because it doesn't seem, because like from those images, you can't really get a sense of scale for the Xbox Series X. So people were joking that like, oh, it's, this console is just, a refrigerator, right?
Yeah.
But get this, and I shit you not, the Xbox Series X is only about a foot tall.
Huh.
Yeah, it's like way smaller than you would think.
How tall, do you know how tall the Xbox is? Or the Xbox One?
Well, I mean, if you stand...
Like stood up, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, if you stood it up vertically, the Xbox Series X would probably be... I mean, I don't know, like a foot and a half, maybe?
So it's shorter?
I don't know off the top of my head. But yeah, it's small. Like, I mean, if you go and you look at the press released images of the Xbox Series X, like if you really pay attention to it, you realize that like if you compare the size of the controller to the size of the console, it's like really not it's not a significant difference. Like it's not as significant as you might think.
Huh.
And like the new controller is basically the same size, if not smaller, I think, than the Xbox One controller. So
that's interesting.
It's like it's really weird to think like once you like see it to scale, you're like, oh, that's it? Like
I'm almost disappointed with that. Because I was kind of hoping it'd be massive, because then that to me that more resembles a stack, right? Like a
PC tower,
like a PC tower, right? So to me, like I was kind of hoping that it would be larger, because to me that'd be like, okay, they're really going heavy with the computing power, and then they could always release like an Xbox like Series X Lite or something like that if that was like less computing power, but was like more remote, like better for like I don't know, like that was just my thought, but I don't know. I think like I don't know. I thought it'd be pretty neat to have that difference, but honestly, like I'm fine with that. I'm fine that it's smaller. I still wonder though. Do you think it's going to outperform the PS4 in terms of, or PS5 in terms of computing power?
So from what we know about each system's specifications right now, it does seem from a pure numbers standpoint that the Series X will outperform the PS5.
Right.
The thing about that though is that your raw numbers aren't always not. I'm not going to say it's not an accurate representation, but it's not like just because the Series X is going to run at 12 teraflops and the PS5 is only going to run at 10 does not mean that the Series X is going to completely blow the PS5 out of the water. Like, right. That's not what that means in any sense. They're going to be more or less pretty close. But again, like from a raw number standpoint, it seems that the Series X is going to outperform the PS5 to some degree. And excuse me. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know all the numbers off the top of my head, so I can't say exactly what other specifications, like how other specifications line up. I think from what I remember, there are some specifications that the PS5 actually does have like over the Series X. Right. So they're basically the long story short is that they're more or less neck and neck, specifications wise, and that might be a controversial thing to say because I know there are plenty of people on the internet right now who think that the Series X1 it's over, the Series X is automatically better than the PS5. But I mean, I don't think so.
You know what? That has to be because they just released more information. I mean, really, it comes down to it. Like they've told us more, so we're like, yeah, they're winning. Of course, how could they not? But like, we don't know what the PS5 is yet. Even we know the specs, like you said, but we don't know what it is. Like we haven't seen it yet. And the looks are a lot of the battle for these consoles. As much as people don't want to admit it, looks are a lot of it.
So, and that's such a big point to make when it comes to the launch of a console, because there are so many factors that determine the success of these consoles just outside their raw power. The reason I'm going to say this as if it's an objective truth, and that's because it is. But the reason the PS4 won the console wars last generation is because the Xbox One at launch looked like crap. I mean, among other things, of course. Right. The objective truth I was making being the fact that the PS4 won the console wars.
Is that more like, is that from a financial perspective? Or what is the...
I think that's just from a general perspective. Because
I see a lot of people playing Xbox One.
No, I mean, no. Both consoles performed well. The objective truth thing was a joke.
Yeah, I know. I got you.
I don't know. I really don't know. But like I said, how successful a console is over its lifetime is very much dependent on its launch, which is very much dependent on a whole host of factors. So, I mean, at the end of the day, whether or not a console, quote unquote, wins the console wars is pretty subjective. But, a lot of it comes down to like your preference for the games that were released on each console, or your preference for the price versus power ratio,
right.
There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. But I'll amend my statement, and I'll say that one of the Xbox One's biggest falters at launch was that it just didn't look good. Like, it looked like a VCR, and it was just like, it was big, it was bulky, it was, it's just like, it looked outdated, like, it just didn't look right. And then, they brought the, they came in with the revision with the Xbox One S, and it looked much, and that kind of helped, and it came with some, like, a little, some performance buffs too, so that was good. So that kind of, like, helped Microsoft get back on the right track with that. But the point I'm making is that, like I said, there's a whole bunch of factors when it comes to, a console's success at launch. I mentioned earlier about the PS3. Its biggest failure was that it was way too overpriced at launch. And so, like, at the end of the day, I completely forgot which track I was on, but it takes a lot of consideration on both sides to be able to say definitively whether or not one console is is winning. I remember we were talking about information, so
Yes.
so another big factor is hype.
Right.
How is this console being presented to the public, and what do we know about it? Because the more that we know about it, the more we can make an informed decision.
Yeah.
And so far, not only has Microsoft given us a total wealth of information, but that information is super appealing. All the stuff that they're telling us looks really, really good. So, and meanwhile, Sony's like, here's the controller.
You like this controller?
Ain't that neat? Like, so, and I think what happened was that Sony, for some reason or another, was just straight up has been over the past few months just straight up unprepared to make any big announcements. I'm thinking that they were planning on making an announcement for the PS5 around this time, like maybe like May, June.
So they kind of got blindsided by Xbox.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you think back to the announcement of the Series X, out of one perfectly normal day, the clouds parted, and Microsoft just like sneezed the Series X at us, and they were like, "Hey, take a look at this," and we were like, "Oh crap! Like, where did this come from?" And it took everybody off guard, not just Sony, because we were not expecting. Not only were we not expecting that information, but we weren't expecting so much information so soon. Like, they didn't just start like throwing out information. They showed us the console.
Right.
And that was like way early. We were not expecting it, and from my point of view, neither was Sony.
Yeah.
And another interesting thing to point out about this, because I've heard a lot of people, bitching and complaining that why isn't Sony giving us what we want? Why isn't Sony showing us the console? Why isn't Sony giving us more? I did a little bit of research, and back in I think it was 2013, 2014, the announcements for the Xbox One and the PS5 were pretty much the same as they are right now for the next generation, but they were reversed. So
wait,
Sony,
say that again?
So basically what I'm saying is that back in like 2013, 2014, when the PS4 and the Xbox One were announced, Sony announced the PS4 way earlier than Microsoft announced the Xbox One. And it was around the same time frame as well. I think it was like February. So that, the PS4 was announced. And in this case, it was, I think, February when the Xbox Series X was announced. So like, and then the Xbox One, I think, was announced later in like, so like, I think it's just a matter of these companies just making a push to be able to announce these consoles as soon as they can. And
so you think it's like a race to the launch? Is that what you're saying? Like a race to the announcement?
Yeah, like each company is like they're not like adhering to like a very strict timetable. Like, Bill Gates and
Right.
Mark Cerny or whoever is in charge of PlayStation. They're not going to sit down, or Bill Gates isn't the head of Xbox. It's Phil Spencer, I think.
Uh-huh.
Phil Phil Spencer, whatever. Person A and person B sit down at a table and they're like, I'm going to release Xbox on this day, and the other one goes, Boy, I will do the same. Shake hands and whatever. I don't think that's how this works, right? I think each company is like, all right, we want our information to release, during this month or whatever, and they, and they scatter and they charge to make sure that, they can get their information out at an acceptable time for them, and that's how they plan it. And I think what ended up happening this generation was that Xbox was just like way more prepared. They were like way more ambitious, and they were just like, we're going to give the consumer a truckload of information, and we're going to completely take Sony off guard. And I think that's what happened.
You know what? And by the way, I had to my game for some reason. I don't think it crashed. Something like faulted. So I had to restart it. But real quick before I have a comment on that, I just want to get back to people's comments. I've been a little backlogged on them.
Sure.
Saladan said, "Will the new consoles use the blockchain?" This is very important to me. I'm gonna bet no. Gibsong Givers, hello. What's up, Gibsong? Nice to see you, man. I have an Xbox, so much fun. I agree. What's your favorite game to play? I like Minecraft. Apex right now Apex is my favorite. And I hear they're making Marvel games soon. That would be pretty sick, man. I hope so. To get back, I actually don't know if I agree with you on that. Also, did it just drop me back into the game? I literally don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. I think it would make sense. So I'm not saying it's not implausible, but I think from my perspective, it looks more so like it's just different marketing strategies. Like, it seems to me like, not to say that Xbox doesn't have the right marketing strategy, but right now it seems like the highlight's on Xbox, but is it going to stay on Xbox? Because right now we're getting a wealth of information, but are they going to have more information closer to launch? Right? Because when's launch again? It's like December?
Yeah, right now they're saying holiday 2020, so they haven't. They haven't given they haven't given a specific timetable.
So it'll probably be like Black Friday weekend or something around that, or something like around that November.
Yeah.
So to me, it seems like maybe they're just showing their whole hand a little too early, and so like what we could run into is like maybe PlayStation's like, you know what? Why don't we just build the suspense? Which maybe not the right call, but maybe it is. Who knows? I mean, maybe they'll be like, let's build the suspense. And then we release really heavy at the end of the summer. We build up the hype, and then the hype is there right as the release comes out. So like maybe they're like, and maybe they had plans to release it earlier. Like maybe they had plans to release it, let's say this month, right? But then Xbox hit heavy, and they're like, with a full scale launch, they're like, this is everything. And PlayStation's like, well, if we do it now, maybe they did beat them to a sense, but now they're like, you know what, Xbox having so much hype, if we release it now, it's just going to seem reactionary. So let's wait, and then let's release it closer to the date with everything we got, full tilt, and then, you get that hype coming in after the fact, which could work or could not. It definitely is going to have a disadvantage of time, but I don't know. I mean, it could have a benefit. Do you think that's plausible?
I think it's plausible. I mean, it is plausible, but I don't know if I would agree. If that were the case, I don't know if I would agree with Sony that would be a good idea. Right. Because, like, I mean, again, right now, as it stands right now, Sony is looking pretty incompetent because Microsoft's been super forthcoming about all their specifications and all their features for the Series X. And meanwhile, people are like, dude, where the hell is Sony? Where's the information that we want? And people are getting pretty upset over it too, because they're, for PlayStation lovers, who have been huge fans of the consoles throughout all the generations, they're just sitting on their hands being like, I really hope I hear some more information about this, console that I'm really looking forward to, while people over in the Xbox club are, having a party. Like, so it's, right now as it stands, I don't think it's, I think it's pretty clear that Sony is disappointing their player base.
Huh.
So, I mean, like you said, it's possible that that's the strategy they're going with, and if that's the case, and they decide to, give us like an info dump that's like super impressive, and proves us all wrong, then like, hey, good for Sony. But like,
right,
it's at this point, I don't know, based on what we know right now and the feelings about each console's presence so far, I don't know if Sony will be able to make up for the lack of presence that it's had up to this point. That's just my opinion. Like, I could be proven wrong. Maybe they show us the PS5 and they're like, it can, make you toast or something, and everyone's like, whoa! Like,
if it could make me toast, I would be on board.
Yeah, right? It's like, well, shoot, I mean, PS5 wins now, no doubt, but like, you took forever to tell me that.
So, real quick, I do have to go to the bathroom. So I want to ask you and then everyone in the chat, just start thinking about, I want to talk about console exclusive games and how that's going to sway people in the war. So if you want to start talking on it while I'm gone, you can. And if people in the chat want to chime in, I'm interested. What do you guys think are like the better console exclusives, and how do you think that's going to play into it? I will be right back.
Okay, very nice. So as it stands, I did mention earlier that Xbox just did their Inside Xbox 2020 event, where they, talked about a whole bunch of launch titles that are going to be coming to the Series X once it releases, and that will also enable smart delivery so that you can get them, if they come out early, or if you want to play them on your Xbox One console after they come out later. So we have like an idea of a whole bunch of games that are going to be coming out. I actually have something pulled up here that talks about Series X exclusives coming up. The main one, the really big one that a lot of people are excited for, is Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Real quick, also, I want to point out that I actually don't have access to chat right now. So if you guys are blowing up the chat with questions, I apologize. It'll have to wait until Burke gets back. But Assassin's Creed Valhalla is one that's people are very excited about. I was never a huge Assassin's Creed fan, so I don't have any thoughts on the matter. But again, that will enable smart delivery. It'll be set in it'll have a Viking set. So the idea is that there's like a huge Viking culture that's trying to immigrate from Norway, I believe it was, to Britain. And of course, the British are very big, very powerful, and very mean. So you're going to be fighting the British as a Viking. And there's a lot of hype going on over that right now. And we saw a bunch of fresh trailers for like brand new games and brand new series that we hadn't seen previously. And they all look very, very promising. Obviously, we had the kind of token tech demo racing game that Microsoft likes to do every generation. Dirt 5, it was that one this time around. Again, smart delivery, just your, just another racing game. Usually Microsoft likes.
Sorry.
Oh, hi.
Hey, I'm back. I had. So you talked about Assassin's Creed. You talked about
Yes.
what was the racing? You're right. They do always lead with the racing exclusive. What was the one for PS3? I'm blanking on the name of it. It was the
well, Sony I don't think is as well known for doing racing games as launch titles, like as tech demos.
They had one.
Did they? I don't remember
PS3,
what it
was. It was the best game. It was so fun.
Really? I'm also
like,
not well versed with the PS3, so
yeah, that's fair.
I don't think I'd know either way. But yeah, I'm just going over what's been announced for Xbox so far.
Okay.
Because I was telling the chat that with the Inside Xbox and stream that they did the other day, they announced like a whole bunch of stuff. So there's a whole lot of new titles that no one's ever heard of that are coming out.
What are the other? You said Assassin's Creed and you said racing. Was there other ones?
Yeah, so far all I went over was Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Dirt 5.
Okay, because those both look really
the racing game.
Yeah, or at least Assassin's Creed looks really good.
Yeah, I mean, I said this earlier, but I was never a huge Assassin's Creed fan. But I imagine for longtime fans of the franchise that they're really excited to see this. I know there are a lot of people who have been saying like, "Dude, I've wanted a Viking-themed Assassin's Creed for like years." So
right,
that should be really cool for the fan base, and I hope they get what they want.
Yeah.
There is this is one that I wanted to touch on. There is a horror game. There's a psychological horror game coming out for the Series X. It will not be smart delivery enabled, so they haven't mentioned a release date for it. So I'm assuming that this will come out post Series X launch, but basically it's being optimized just for Series X. And it's called and it looks.
It's called what?
It's called Scorn.
Scorn.
Yeah, and it looks absolutely mental.
Okay.
Really gross, like body horror type stuff.
Really?
Yeah, it was. From what I know about the game, it was inspired by the work of an artist. And I don't know what the artist's name was, but it was the same artist that inspired the visuals of the Alien movies.
It's not like it's not never mind. I don't even know. Forget it. Forget I said anything.
All right, cool. But yeah, psychological horror looks really gross. Looks really disturbing.
Yeah. This is what.
Yeah. And I mean, again, as is true with all of these, the visuals look amazing. So I mean, I'm hyped for that. I'm gonna get that. There is Bright Memory Infinite, which is part of a franchise, I believe, like a very old franchise that hasn't seen an entry in a while that they're
really
bringing back. Or actually, maybe I'm thinking of something else. I think this game, from what I remember, this game was made from, I don't know about made from scratch, but this game was made by one person.
Oh, okay.
This game was made.
This game was made. This game was made, guys. Isn't it crazy?
So yeah, this was made by one developer.
Oh wow! And
it's an FPS. If you watch the reveal trailer, the visuals are absolutely amazing. Another thing from the technological side of the Series X that I should mention is that it has hardware-based ray tracing, which basically means that the hardware of the console is so is so advanced that it's going to have ray tracing, or like, in other words, very, very advanced lighting built right into it. If you look up, like, there are videos that you can look up about like ray tracing in Minecraft, which is like a very good place to start if you want to learn about like what ray tracing is and like how to compare it.
Yeah.
Because if you see, because like everyone knows pretty much what Minecraft looks like, and it's like,
Exactly.
yeah, it looks like Minecraft, it's fine. But then you see Minecraft with ray tracing on, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
it's a completely different thing, and it looks absolutely stunning.
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, really do, because that's the kind of thing that we're going to be seeing with the Series X, and I believe the PS5 will also have ray tracing, so we can look forward to that as well. But the reason I brought that up is because if you watch the reveal trailer for Bright Memory Infinite, you absolutely can see the ray tracing at work, and it looks it just looks amazing. Like I said, it's an FPS. I'm looking at a reveal for all these games, so I'll just like read off a quick thing. Bright Memory Infinite seems to marry the kill streak playground of Bulletstorm with the combo-loving style of Devil May Cry.
Ooh.
So, I don't know. We don't have much information on it because we only got like a very quick reveal trailer the other day, but it looks very cool, very good. That's another one that I will personally be playing.
That sounds sick. You know what? Real quick, Stormbreaker shouts out Spider-Man games are a huge win. So I mean, like the Spider-Man, like PlayStation does have some exclusives. We'll get to it, Stormbreaker, a little bit. He does say Forza Horizon games are a good Xbox exclusive, and so he'd like to get those. That's another good point. So continue. Sorry, you have a ton of other ones, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. I just wanted to kind of highlight those for the Series X. There's like Madden 21 coming out, and there are other. There are a bunch of games coming out. If you want, you can watch the Inside Xbox stream that they did the other day to get like the full reveal of all the games that they're doing. But,
is there a Halo?
Yes, they're coming out with Halo Infinite, I believe.
Please be better than Halo 4.
They apparently that is supposed to be coming out. I don't know if they've like set in stone the fact that it's supposed to be coming out at launch, but I think like everyone's assuming that it's coming out at launch. It's kind of shaky right now too because of the pandemic. People are seriously worried that some of these launch titles aren't actually going to end up being launch titles because of delays and lack of resources and things like that.
Yeah, but I mean, and that could happen.
Yeah, for sure. But right now, Halo Infinite is confirmed to be a quote unquote launch title, I guess, depending on how it works out.
Yeah. That would be
so nice. You have that to look forward to as well. That's a big selling point for Xbox, of course, with next generation Halo. For PS5, however, not a lot of big stuff. To be fair, Assassin's Creed Valhalla is also going to PS5. That will not be Xbox exclusive. So forgive me if I led people on by if I made you assume that these were exclusives that I was mentioning. These are just launch titles that I'm reading off. So not necessarily exclusive. Right. But Assassin's Creed Valhalla will be on the PS5. A game called wait a minute. Let me talk about Lord of the Rings Gollum.
What?
There's a game in development right now where you play as Gollum.
Why?
And I don't know. Yeah, and I mean,
like that.
You don't like that?
No. Of all the things you could do in the Lord of the Rings universe, playing as Gollum is probably the least attractive thing.
Really? I thought like fans of Lord of the Rings would be like super hyped for that kind of thing.
Maybe other ones, but I don't see it. Like, he's the least powerful. He's got no real intriguing skill set.
I don't know.
I don't know. Do you know more about it?
It's supposed to be what's it called? It's supposed to be like a narrative game, so like very story driven.
Right.
And no one knows all that much about it, but apparently it's an action adventure game which focuses on Gollum, and it's kind of telling his story, I guess, from with him at the forefront, and the developers are saying that they're very much staying true to the books. So I don't know.
Kind of hope not. I don't know. Like, of all the people, like, oh my goodness, like,
it'd be a huge bummer right now, Burke.
I'm sorry. I just don't see what they do with a Gollum movie. Really?
To be fair, I have only seen a very, very small amount of bits and pieces of the Lord of the Rings, so I'm not really interested either way. But
do you have interest in Lord of the Rings? Because I'm trying to do. I want to rewatch at some point. I just need people to rewatch with me.
I'm really not all that interested in Lord of the Rings, only because, and this might be a controversial statement,
okay,
but I think fantasy settings are, at this point in pop culture, so boring.
Really?
That's not me saying that objectively they're boring. That's just me saying that from my point of view, personally, in my opinion, at this point they're just stale. I don't like them anymore because at the end of the day, you can take a clip of someone saying, you must climb Rothnak Mountain, and there you will meet with Dubelis, who will tell you the story of, and it's like, all right, like that sounds like it could be from literally any fantasy franchise you could think of. I think, again, controversial, but like Witcher, Skyrim, any of this fantasy stuff, like it just goes way over my head. The only reason I like WoW so much is because I don't even give a shit about the lore. I don't even pay attention to the story behind the quests or anything. I just pick accept quest and then turn in quest, and that is how I play WoW. I just kill things, and that's it. But
well, I'm intrigued now. You've stoked my curiosity. I need to understand more about this.
Really, this is like that foreign a concept to you?
Yeah, well, because I feel like this is like just a general statement about genres.
Yeah,
because
no, for sure.
How do you feel about sci-fi?
Sci-fi, I like sci. Again, it depends on how it's implemented. Because, you could make generalizations like I'm making right now. You can make those generalizations about essentially any genre. For example, in sci-fi, there's, always like robots or aliens, and it's, I don't know, something to do with the apocalypse or like aliens invading or fighting robots that have turned evil or something like that. There's plenty of stories like that. But like a big part of it is like the way that they're told, the way that those stories are told. And like, for example, there's a book that I read recently called, I believe it was called The Relic or something to that effect. But the story was that the main character is a human who is the last surviving human of at all, period, in the universe.
Okay.
And it takes place like way in the future, and basically he has been living with this alien race for years and years, and the alien race really wants to study this human because he's the last of his kind. It's like this is a super rare species, basically extinct,
Right.
And so like they want to like do experiments and studies and see who he is and how he works and stuff like that.
Right.
So he agrees to all of this study and what have you, with under the condition that they help him find and identify where the human race is from. So basically, the whole goal of the novel is for this character to find where Earth is, but he doesn't know that it's called Earth.
Okay.
And
that's a really
and I liked
concept.
I liked that story a lot because number one, I thought it was very, very unique. Just from that synopsis alone, it sounds very unique. But it was also unique in that the explanations and descriptions of alien species was very, very unique, and it was very particular and expansive. It wasn't just like skinny short guys with big heads and big eyes. Like, I hate in science fiction. Here's another generalization for you that I hate about science fiction.
Right.
Is that all aliens are humanoid in appearance.
Right.
Why would they be?
Right.
But
I've actually made this argument for like, this is getting too far maybe, but I've actually made this argument that like, it's the same thing like where science, like actual scientists are like, we could like, isn't life on this planet because there's no water or oxygen. And I'm like, that's another, like, do we know that that's the only way for life forms to exist? Or is that the only way life forms have formed on our planet? But that's a side thing. So,
that's a good point.
But I don't know, but yeah.
But that's an example where like, oh, like this is outside the box. This is very unique in that like the aliens in this story are like, look like completely wacky. And like, it's really hard to, visualize and imagine what these aliens look like,
right?
Because as they're described in the book, their like architecture is so foreign that like, and that's how it should be because they're friggin' aliens,
right?
But like, again, like as with all of these genres, at the end of the day, it just depends on how they're told. And from my point of view, a lot of the time with these stories, with fantasy stories in particular, the biggest detail, the most like appealing detail of fantasy is like very expansive lore and like different like races and like the like very like beautiful locations and things like that. And it's like,
right.
I feel like they harp on that like way too much, and it just gets to the point where it all sounds the same, and it's like that's a bummer. You know what I mean?
That's a really good point. Honestly, it makes me wonder, how could fantasy benefit from the statements you're making, kind of? Because I mean, really, I think that there is maybe a need for a new renaissance for the fantasy genre.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe a deeper exploration of like different types of worlds. I think that. I'm sure that there are, and there's these hidden gem novels that I'm just not, I'm not privy to yet. But you make a really good point. I honestly, it just makes me think more. Yeah.
And with that being said, I think if I could make like sort of like a contrasting, or like a comparison in a way here. With that being said, I think the reason Game of Thrones was so successful, and I think the reason I enjoyed Game of Thrones as opposed to most fantasy series, is because Game of Thrones was very, very simple in its iconography.
Right, because it was what was it? Low fantasy, right?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, it didn't go too hard into the fantasy tropes. There weren't like magical elves or like like giant like beasts or what. It was like literally like you had zombies, big wolves, and dragons, and that was about it, right? And like it was very straightforward. It was like these dragons exist. These dogs are big. Those ice zombies are bad. It's
right.
like it was very straightforward. It was like, okay, I understand, got it.
Yeah.
And everything else in the show, arguably the stuff that made it the most compelling, were the characters and the plot, and essentially the quality of the writing as a whole.
Right. They didn't lean too heavy on the fact that it's just this unique world and stuff like that. They actually focused on the characters.
Right. And I mean, to be fair, credit where credit is due. That is due in large part to George R.R. Martin, I believe, because of course, how he created this world. However, I'm speaking purely in terms of the show because I don't have too much knowledge of the books. I read I think half of the first book, and it kind of
it's fine.
I kind of fell away from it. But yeah, but I think that's a great example. Is that good stories are are the quality of a story is based on the story and the writing and the characters and a whole bunch of stuff. If a story really had to hinge on its setting and very all of these kind of inconsequential details, then it kind of starts to fall apart. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've just made a decision because we've been talking about this topic so off topic of what we're on.
We really did
for the last 20 minutes. I want to have you back on for another stream where we talk about sci-fi versus fantasy. Would you want to do something like that? I just feel like this conversation needs to be explored deeper.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we would be able to make a prolonged discussion out of that because.
Well, because to me, I think we could delve deeper into what makes those stories great. We can analyze a few of the big ones from both sides, and maybe just discuss what we could do to enhance and what needs to do to be done to kind of revitalize that genre.
That's a very tall task, but
I know
you've intrigued me. You've piqued my interest.
So let's shelf the rest of this conversation, and we can talk about it kind of off off of it, and maybe see if this is something we could make work. And if anyone's still around, we haven't driven anyone away. Then let us know if that's something you'd be interested in seeing. Okay, back to exclusives. No, this is an awesome discussion. That's why I was I want to keep going. I'm just man, maybe we should finish our console wars discussion.
Sorry that I offended anybody who likes The Witcher, Skyrim, or Lord of the Rings, which is basically 99% of the human population. Anyway.
Yeah, you're good.
So some PS5 exclusives. Again, I don't know if I said this already, but it not a lot here is as impressive as what we saw from Xbox.
Right.
Mostly because, number one, a lot of these games are going to be on both platforms.
Right.
And also because these particular games, I'm not sure how much attention these games have gotten because we just had that Inside Xbox stream the other day, so that's very fresh in my mind. But I don't remember ever seeing obviously Sony has announced these are some launch titles, but
yes,
I don't remember them making a super big deal out of it. So I feel like they kind of got swept under the rug.
I'd agree.
There are some games that have been known about for a while. Watchdogs Legion is going to be
which the Watchdogs series is pretty popular.
Yeah, Watchdogs. From what I understand about Watchdogs, I haven't played it, but from what I understand, there have been some highs and lows. But for the most part, it's pretty well known. It's pretty well it's a Ubisoft game, so Ubisoft is pretty well known for their very large open world environments and their really clever use of like dynamic systems in their games, and things like that. So I don't know. I'm an absolute sap for anything game design related. So I will talk about game design all day. But Watchdogs Legion that was announced at E3 last year. So I'm seeing here that it's going to be on the PS5. I'm stoked for that. I might pick it up.
Okay.
The one that we've seen most so far, in terms of PS5 exclusive launches, is Godfall.
Godfall. I don't know.
Godfall. Yeah, again, it's one of those games where it's just like you hear it and you're like, oh, okay, I guess. Like it's, I mean, it seems like it's like not part of a franchise. It's just like a very fresh title. It's only gotten like a very short reveal trailer, and like that's it.
Right.
So like not really much to go on. It was made by Gearbox, that also made the Borderlands franchise.
I feel like I'm hearing all these names I've never heard before.
Yeah, no, Gearbox is the developer that made the Borderlands franchise. So
okay,
it does have some. Gearbox does have some clout, as it were, and apparently it's an action RPG. That's kind of has like a Destiny kind of vibe.
Okay.
But like includes like a lot of like melee combat and stuff like that. So sounds interesting. What else do we got here? Gods and Monsters was another one.
Gods and Monsters. I'm hearing all that. I've never heard of these games.
Yeah, right. It's another Ubisoft title. It was also announced at E3 2019. And apparently there is like basically no information for it. But I don't know. That's one of those. I remember Gods and Monsters because that's one of those trailers that like kind of caught my eye.
Yeah.
At E3 last year, but yeah, like again, like I said, like very like not a lot of like very like compelling, like in like that's like taking center stage in pop culture or like in you know, like in media right now.
I think The Last of Us, right? The Last of Us 2.
Yeah, The Last of Us 2. The Last of Us 2, I believe, was. I think The Last of Us 2 was supposed to release for the PS4.
Is it? Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
I think it was supposed to release for It was supposed to release this month. Later this month, and it was delayed, and the new release date is June 19th.
Oh.
So it's set to release for the PS4, but it will also be available on PS5 at launch.
Okay. So I mean, really, that's something that just Stormbreaker just brought up. PlayStation's lucky that they have the deal of bringing out the COD games 1 month early. But to be honest, it's kind of unnecessary and stupid. I actually didn't know they had that deal, but I mean, it's kind of good. But it's not enough to convince you to get a console. You know, like what I'm saying? Like, if anything, like it's going to convince people that have both to do. I don't know. Like, it doesn't seem like it's enough to be like, oh, I'm going to get the PS5 so I can play Call of Duty a month early. Like, I don't. Maybe some people, but honestly, I'd rather have a better controller when I have it, and I prefer the Xbox controllers. So I don't know.
Honestly, that's fair. It looks like with controller design, the PS5 is trying to steer more towards like a conventional controller design, much more in line with like the Switch Pro controller and the Xbox One controller, which many people have been very keen to point out. But on that, real quick, because that's another thing that I have a lot to say about. People are like bashing Sony because they're like, now they're just copying Microsoft's controllers. That's how we know they're losing. And it's like, well, okay, think about it realistically, right?
Yeah.
The Xbox One has the controller that it has. The Switch has a controller with a very similar layout.
Right.
You know, a very similar design. I think it's more plausible that the reason Xbox and the Switch have the controllers the way they're designed is because they're experts at the design R&D development. Have concluded that this is like the most comfortable kind of like ergonomic design that players are looking for. So with that in mind, perhaps Sony's experts have come to the same conclusion and decided that,
perhaps.
Maybe, perhaps, I don't know. But, if like, again, if it's the case that like those controllers are like, just like, based on studies and like scientific evidence and what have you, that those controllers are most comfortable for gamers, then, why would Sony not fall in line? But anyway, that's my take on that.
No, I agree.
Yeah. So there's that. And so, yeah, Last of Us 2, some big news lately that there was like a whole lot of serious leaks that came out about The Last of Us 2.
Oh, really?
Which, somebody who worked on the game, nobody knows exactly who. But yeah, somebody just like dropped a whole bunch of really spoiler heavy leaks.
That's
on
a
The Last
bummer.
of Us 2. Yeah, and people are not happy about it. Neither is Sony. But yeah, that's gonna. But I mean, for those who didn't catch those spoilers, be excited.
Here's the
Last of Us
thing.
2 is gonna...
I have mixed feelings on spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I look at like something like Marvel and I get so hype about spoilers. More leaks, right? I like rumors more than spoilers, I guess.
Yeah, I get that.
But for something like that, it's like, oh, characters are coming that you can get excited about, stuff like that. I don't know what these Last of Us spoilers are. I don't really want to know. Because I loved the first game and there's tons of twists that I would have been upset if I hadn't known, if I had known.
Yeah, without giving away anything significant, the information that was leaked is literally story spoilers. Like, these are things that happen in the story, like late game. So
yeah, right. Like that's a bummer.
Yeah. But yeah, it sucks. But like, if you can manage to avoid the spoilers, which isn't too hard to do right now, just as long as you kind of like stay away from the Last of Us press, I guess, online.
Yeah.
Then look forward to it in what was it, June, July? I think it was June. So,
yeah, I think so.
That'll be coming out soon. That'll be on the PS5, as well as Ghost of Tsushima.
Ghost of Tsushima. Ooh.
Which is another game that's actually getting a lot of hype. I believe that was announced at E3 2019 as well. It was announced at the Game Awards 2019. And it's a game where you play in... It takes place in feudal Japan, and you play as like a samurai.
Oh, okay.
Kind of warrior in feudal Japan. So that's kind of dope.
Yeah. So is there any other ones? I mean, I know that if they come out with another Uncharted game, I'm down. That's one. But as far as I know, I mean, that's not something that's been discussed yet. So I can't really speak to that. I don't really know what other games are coming out. So I don't in terms of exclusives, it does seem like Xbox is kind of at the lead there, for now at least. I don't know.
Well, again, I think like a lot of it comes down to like the amount of information that's being put out, right?
Right.
Like, because like we have information about all these games. Like, we know, like, you can look them up and see that, oh, they're coming to, they're going to be on PS5, they're going to be launch titles, but it seems like it's, there's not a lot of hype around this stuff. You know what I mean?
So I guess that... Oh, sorry, did you have something else?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, like there have been people talking about the upcoming like the new Bethesda games that are in the lineup,
Ooh, yeah.
like Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield, but you got to remember that neither of those have a set release date, and Bethesda have made it perfectly clear that they it's going to be a while.
Right.
When Bethesda announced Elder Scrolls 6, they made it perfectly clear, like, hey, it's in development.
Right.
You're gonna have to wait. And they did the same exact thing with Starfield. So like those are things, I mean, maybe future, but like I don't know. The same thing with something like Horizon Zero Dawn 2, or whatever the sequel. But yeah, I mean, like, it's another thing where it's like, yeah, we can expect them in the next generation, but I mean,
it's not enough to sway you on release. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, another thing to keep in mind too is that games that are available for the PS4 right now, like we went over with The Last of Us 2. Games that are available on the PS4 right now will also titles on the PS5. So games like Death Stranding, Rainbow Six Siege, a bunch of the games that were announced during Inside Xbox will also be on the PS5. So, there are games to look forward to, no doubt. It's just one of those things where like Sony's not generating enough press, and therefore they're not generating enough hype. So, if you're looking forward to games that will be on the PS5, or to wait until Sony steps up their game and actually goes like, hey, those exclusives were you were looking for? Well, here they are. Like, we actually need to actually see something from them.
Right.
It's a shame that it's just
that
a shame
there isn't more. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, that there isn't more.
So it does seem like, I mean, I think I'm gonna choose to favor. I'm pretty sure I know where your stance is. I'm gonna choose to kind of stand with you on this and say, it seems like the Xbox is coming out on top. Is slated to come out on top of the console wars. Is that kind of where you're standing as well?
Right now, my standing is that Xbox is no doubt winning the console, or the Series X is winning the console wars for now.
Right.
I don't want to make any predictions about the future. The only reasons I don't want to make any predictions about the future is because I really want Sony to step up their game.
Right.
Like, I really want Sony to give me a reason to look forward to the PS5, because with my history with each console company, I started out like I'm pretty sure the first console I ever had was a PS2.
Right.
I loved it.
I think I'm on the same. Mine was original PlayStation. Yeah.
Original PlayStation.
Maybe.
And then later on I ended up getting an Xbox 360, and I loved that too. But like as like the years went on after that, I was like primarily Xbox, just because that's just what I had. And then it wasn't until last year, I kid you not, it wasn't until last year that I got a PS4. And like I got like a bunch of really good games for it, and I started playing them. Literally Spider-Man for the PS4 and Persona 5 was all I needed to play to be like, I should have gotten a PS4 way sooner.
Yeah.
So so now it's one of those things where it's like, sure, I like Xbox. Xbox has like plenty of great games, and like the systems are really good, and like but in our current generation, PS4 did like a whole lot, and they really came out full force, and they were super, super impressive. And I want to see more of stuff like that. And one of the arguments that a lot of people are making is that yes, the Series X is on paper more technically advanced than the PS5, sure, but at the end of the day, the quality of a console is not in the hardware, it's in the games.
Right.
And
That's true.
which again is like kind of the same thing that we saw in this past generation with PS4, Xbox One.
Yep.
So I'm still hopeful that the PS5 will be able to like push out some like really good features and like really good from from this past generation, and that they'll be able to make some like really astounding games, maybe some follow-ups to franchises that got like really amazing entries this past generation, maybe some like brand new stuff that people are going to absolutely fall in love with and be absolute masterpieces, but like so far as of right now, super disappointed in Sony, and as many of us are.
Yep.
And very impressed by the moxie that the Xbox team has shown in being so forthcoming about all this information. So
yeah,
right now I give it to Xbox, but we'll have to. I still want to wait and see.
I think I'm with you. I think I'm with you with that. I think Xbox is doing really well. I think we have a lot to see from the PlayStation still. I mean, I think I lean more toward. I think I like Xbox on paper more. I think I like playing I think games that I find that are cross-platform, I like playing better on Xbox. But I typically find I found, at least with the PS4, probably the PS3 as well, that the exclusives were better on that side as opposed to the Xbox. So we'll have to see on that. I do want to shout out Stormbreaker. I understand that you like the PlayStation controller better. I find the Xbox controller better for me. It's different for every person. That's okay. At the end of the day, it's your own decision on that one. Rumors are fun. Leaks are only fun when they aren't revealing anything significant. I agree with you. The same note on that. Some people had that about like the Star Wars movies and stuff, without getting too much into other stuff. Sony's E3 panel from 2016 was the best one of all time. The one that revealed the Crash remake, Spidey, PS4, and Days Gone. Yeah, I don't remember it very well, but I mean, those were all great games. So it's a good point. And side note, Netflix is bringing Tiger King content centering around the Siegfried and Roy shows from the 80s and 90s. Wow. That's not surprising. It was popular. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be exciting to see how it all unfolds, and I'm sure as the weeks and months go by, we're going to have more to say about these consoles. So maybe in a few months we'll be able to come back on and have another discussion about it as we have close to the release date. Maybe we'll have more ideas of what's going on, and we can kind of speak more to it. But I feel pretty comfortable with the conclusion we got to, and I think I really enjoyed the discussion, and you definitely made me aware of a lot of things I didn't know about with this stuff. It's kind of getting me excited and making me reconsider whether or not it's worth getting another console. I've gone very PC heavy, so maybe it might be worth getting a console when the next gen comes out. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, man, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
I am very excited for this next generation and what each company has to show. I personally am planning on hopefully getting both, just so I can get hands on with them and see what they each have to offer.
I would like that too.
Yeah.
So thanks so much, man. And Stormbreaker, I misspoke this morning when I said about coming on to the Den of Nerds community stream. It is my dad's birthday, so I'm going to be spending a little time with him tonight. So I won't be on tonight. I will be joining next Monday. Tell them I'm sorry I couldn't make it, but I'll definitely try to be on next week. I don't know why I keep making, it's been very hard to get on that stream, but no, if you're into like the Marvel, Star Wars, that kind of stuff, you should definitely go check out Den of Nerds. They're a great time over there.
All right. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much for I will Stormbreaker. Thank you so much for coming on, dude, and definitely let's talk about that other conversation. I'd like to look into maybe doing that in the future. And
man, for sure.
Yep. And for everyone else, I'll see you guys on the next stream on Wednesday. Have a good one.